There is something going to occur which will end this reign of darkness, end this nefarious stealing of the sacred knowledge for cycle after cycle. Because the next cataclysm will be different to the cataclysms that have come before. This next iteration, the earth Hi, it's Muzz iEvolv. Thank you for being here again this week. Please like, subscribe, share, comment on this video now while you remember. Time to read this book. If you haven't read this book, then you're missing out. It comes in the paperback, in the audio and ebook versions as well. It's called The 3 Awakenings That Save Humanity. And there is a link below this video which takes you to the page where you can get whatever version of this book that you would like. There is a way now that you can donate to me and also receive something in return. So I've created a membership site. There's 3 levels. The top level is less than 2 quarters per day, and you get the transcripts, the audios and the videos of every channel I've done in the past and every channel I will do in the future. So the idea behind this concept is that you can help me so that I can continue to do this week after week, and at the same time you get something in return. So instead of just donating and getting nothing rather than just what I give away for free anyway, you also get something. And now on to today's topic. Last week I did a channel on the stolen knowledge that changes everything, and there is some more detail to that. There's some more things that I feel want to be added. So I'm going to do a follow-up channel on it this week. So just to keep things simple, I'm going to call this channel The Stolen Knowledge That Changes Everything, Part 2. Greetings and thank you for the opportunity to bring more detail to this channel that was discussed last week. If you did not see last week's channel, which was number 159, then we recommend you stop this video now, go back, watch the prior session, and then return here to watch this one, because that will give you the backstory, which will make this one more understandable. In last week's session, we discussed how that there is some sacred knowledge that has been stolen from humanity. And that knowledge is that on your planet there is a cataclysmic season, meaning that there is a cataclysm, and then a large period of time will pass, and then the cataclysm will return. And this is an ongoing cycle. And because it is an ongoing cycle, it could be said to be part of the life cycle of the larger organism, meaning of the Earth being, and of the solar system being, and of the galaxy being. And as you are part of these beings, you are an individuation nested within the humanity being, which is nested within the Earth being, within the solar system being, within the galaxy being, within the One. You are all of these beings simultaneously, because it is a fractal existence, and the ultimate iteration of the fractal is the One. The One is the ultimate group being, because all individuations of consciousness are contained within the One. They are the One. The One is all of them, including you. Therefore, the One is the ultimate group being. And as it is a fractal creation, then you also are a group being, because you are comprised of many trillions of cells which have a rudimentary consciousness, and you are embedded in yet larger group beings. So, as this is part of a life cycle of a larger being which you are a component of, then the returning cataclysm has a significance. It is relevant to the life cycle. So to humanity, it has a spiritual significance. And when it is understood that the cataclysm returns, then humanity understands that the period between cataclysms is very important. It is a time of preparation, preparing so that you are in a state of spiritual readiness. So when the cataclysm returns, you can utilize the potential of that blessed experience and be thrust through the energetic impetus provided by the cataclysm into a new paradigm of existence for humanity, into the fourth density state. As this information has been denied from humanity, then humanity uses this time between cataclysms very wastefully, very unaware, very unconscious of what the process would organically be if this information was readily available. So, the cabal of darkness, the unified malevolence, those that have decided to follow the philosophical pathway of darkness, they have very deliberately expunged this information from your global civilization and hoarded it for themselves, because then they are the only ones that prepare. And their preparation isn't a spiritual preparation, because they are not spiritual beings. They are not gravitating towards the light, but they are going deeper into the darkness. And the darkness is physicality, and the lightness is spirituality. So, in their preparation, they are very physical in their preparation, meaning that they are preparing contingencies so that when the cataclysm returns, they can be sheltered in a way so that they are not decimated as the rest of the human civilization will be. What does this look like? What does this entail? Those that are in possession of this knowledge have already built many underground cities across your planet, on all of the inhabited continents. And they have connected many of these bases with a network of underground rail systems or transport systems using technologies which are not freely available to the rest of humanity. And so when the cataclysm returns, it is their intent that they will descend into these underground cities where they will be able to survive for a very long time. And these are very large facilities that could contain many tens of thousands of people per facility, and on a global wide basis it would be many hundreds of thousands. And they would be able to transport goods and also people between these underground facilities without needing to return to the surface, because the assumption is that when the cataclysm returns, the surface of the earth will be very inhospitable, because first there will be most likely an inundation which is very decimating to the global population and all of the existing infrastructure. And then following that, there will be a dramatic change in the climate. This is the expectation, because the last cataclysm came at a time when the earth was in an ice age. And when the cataclysm occurred, much of this ice melted very rapidly. And so the large sections of the global geography was inundated with massive amounts of water, which was flooding of such a degree that it wiped out entire civilizations. If this is to occur again, as in the last cataclysm, those that have stolen this knowledge will be prepared and will survive. And there is evidence that this has occurred before, that they have been prepared and therefore they have survived mostly intact, meaning that their population remains intact, but also their civilization, the technologies and cultural aspects which make a civilization, they maintain possession of. But of course, even they experience some deal of disruption, because there is such a networked relationship of all of the land locations, like surface locations on the planet. There is much interdependency between communities, between countries, with trade and so on. So when there is a decimating effect, even those that were prepared will still be very set back in their capacities to be as they were. However, when the cataclysm has passed and humanity begins to repopulate, rebuild the civilization, this many thousands of year process, those that were prepared have a very large advantage. There is already a very marked difference in their ability compared to the typical human, the typical groups of survivors that are now starting again, and all civilization has been, in the most part, destroyed. So it creates a scenario where there are different human populations which are very disparate in their technological capacities. Some of the megalithic structures that were built supposedly many thousands of years before what modern archaeology says was the beginning of civilization. Yet these massive structures, which have stood for over 10,000 years, are clearly the product of civilization. So how is it possible that these two scenarios coincide, where you have those capable of building sophisticated technology and civilization, building massive structures that can stand for over 10,000 years. And these massive structures contain building blocks which are so incredibly large it's impossible or very difficult to explain how it could be done unless with the use of advanced technology. And even more so than that, they are astronomically aligned. They are built with an awareness of the constellations and their movement across the sky. Yet, at the same time these constructions were erected, the rest of humanity was still living a hunter-gatherer type of lifestyle, where technology was very rudimentary. There were spears and stone tools. There was no metallurgy. There was no wheel. How is it that these two very disparate examples of humanity can coincide? And not just coinciding on different locations on your planet, but coinciding in the same geographical regions. One group of humans building a sophisticated technology which demonstrates the possession of advanced methods, scientific methods, and also astronomical awareness. Yet at the same time, other humans living in the same regions have not even discovered metallurgy. Their technology is still Stone Age. This is explained when it is accepted, or at least entertained, that the civilized humans have brought with them information that has been lost to the rest of humanity. Because when the last cataclysm wiped everything out, they were prepared. And then they emerged into the beginning of the new cycle, already very much advanced in their potential, because they were in possession of the knowledge of what technology was, what civilization was prior to the arrival of the cataclysm. If this is indeed the case, then there would be an expectation that this disparity between the levels of technology between those that have stolen this information and those that are unaware that the cycle is, the cataclysmic season is cyclic, would still be very disparate today. So, if there is a group of humanity that is building very vast underground cities then this could be said to be a form of advanced technology. But even more so than this, those that have stolen knowledge, those that have been building upon the human understandings which have been brought with them from the cycle prior to the cycle that you're in now, have technologies which are so advanced that they already are actively involved in exploration and in communication and in trade with special groups which exist beyond your solar system. They have already, for many decades, been traveling into far reaches of your galaxy. Human beings. It is a breakaway civilization. It is the group of humans which have been privileged and those that have been stolen from the rest of humanity because of their skills, because of their capacities and intellects and their discoveries, and incorporated into this breakaway civilization which exists on other planets within your solar system and also external to your solar system, because they have the capacity to travel very great distances very, very rapidly. And also, they can power their vehicles and power their settlements with 0-point free energy devices, which has been part of the human paradigm for a very long time. This concept of free energy, yet it is yet another of the sacred knowledges which have been stolen from humanity. It is imperative that this knowledge is kept from humanity for the cabal of darkness, the unified malevolence, because as they have chosen the philosophical pathway of darkness, then they can not be imbued with any of the qualities of the light, because it would be a limitation to their ambition. It would be disabling. It would be a disability if they were caring, empathic, sympathetic, loving. Because then, when they are victimizing their subjects or those over which they have dominion for the furtherment of their own agenda, they would have ambivalence. They would have conflicting ideas. I wish to achieve this, but I really don't want to do this to these people who will be victimized by my agenda. And so then they would be less forceful. They would be weakened by this sentiment. Therefore, they have shut themselves down from their connection to the One. Because all of you, all beings in existence are connected to the One, because you are the One. It is impossible to be disconnected from the One. But you can deny the connection. You can shut down the connection. All of you are receiving an energetic supplementation from the One. It is your birthright. And this energizes you. It gives you life. And your physicality is also nourished through food. But as a species becomes more advanced, more spiritually evolved, makes its transition through the different density states, eventually even food becomes completely unnecessary. And you are entirely nourished by your connection to the One. It is totally an energetic supplementation that sustains you. And eating is only done as a pleasant pastime, as a joyful experience, but not because it is necessary for your survival. So, this energy you are receiving from the One is the light. The light is love and its derivatives. That is gratitude, peace, happiness, joy, bliss, love, and all of the other derivatives and abstractions of that spectrum of the light. However, you can see that these qualities do not serve those that are using the darkness, that have taken the philosophical pathway of the darkness. So, instead, they must replace that energetic supplementation, their birthright, which they have denied, from somewhere else. And this means that they must become parasitic. They must draw that energy from someone else. And therefore, as part of their process, they take dominion over a population. And then they farm that population to produce an energy which is compatible with their spiritual consistency. Their spiritual constituency is darkness. So, it is necessary for those that they are parasitically drawing this energetic supplementation from are also emitting a dark energy. And so the way they farm these populations over which they have dominion is to deliberately engineer confusion, misery, suffering into their existence, such that their lives are so difficult and they are so unhappy and insecure and confused and depressed and despondent and angry and hateful and sad and so on, that they emit that in their energetic field. Because all of the emotional qualities from the darkness end of the spiritual spectrum are a form of dark energy or low vibratory energy. And so when the bulk of the human population is in a state of suffering, is in a state of misery, then this is a very rich bumper crop which can be harvested by those that have chosen the philosophical pathway of darkness and cut themselves down from their connection to the One. So, it is very important to them that humanity stays in this bandwidth where there is much darkness coming from each of you individually, that you become the beacons of darkness. And they are nourished and made powerful because this very dense, dark, energetic field, which is created across the human population, across the entire planet, is controlled or finds at its epicenter those that understand the scientific, spiritual relationship with the energetic states, and they can use darkness to further their agenda. It makes them more powerful. The more darkness there is on a global scale, the more powerful they become. This is why you have financial crises. This is why you have climatic catastrophe, which have been engineered. This is why you have large-scale pandemics. This is why you have forced inoculations and the consequences of that process, and so on and so on. It is to keep you all in a state of misery, suffering, and confusion, plus all of the other emotional states, energetic qualities of the darkness end of the spiritual spectrum. But when it is known that there is a cataclysmic cycle and that eventually the cycle will terminate to begin again, and this termination point is demarked by the actual cataclysm, and because it is part of the life cycle of this larger being, then it is spiritual in nature, then humanity would be using this time very, very differently, particularly this final stage, the remaining generations before the cataclysm returns. And it would be very focused on its own spiritual preparation. And if it is spiritually prepared, so that when the ascension event or the cataclysm returns and the bulk of humanity has compatible energetics, then humanity will ascend into the fourth density state, leaving behind the third density state where it exists now. The third density state is dualistic in nature. And this is why the Earth human experience is a dualistic or heterogeneous spiritual state, dichotomous in nature, where you identify as the light, but simultaneously you identify as the darkness. I hate those people, but I love those people. This is a dichotomous state. This is a misconception of self. This is the belief that you are both the light and the darkness. However, as you are a child of your Creator, and your Creator is the light, then by definition, you are the light also. And any identification with the darkness is a misconception of what you really are. You can believe you are the darkness, but you cannot actually be the darkness. You are just entertaining an idea which is untrue. And this is because, very uniquely, humanity is not in possession of three very fundamental understandings, which are the default state with which all other species in existence are usually birthed into creation. And that is that you are connected to the One and always have been. That you are the light and nothing but the light. And that you are all connected to each other to form the special being, this expanded definition of self. And for you, the human, it is the humanity being. You're all part of the humanity being. So, when there is the transition into the fourth density, the fourth density is non-dualistic. It is a unity by default. And this is why it is in the fourth density state that when you are birthed into that new human paradigm, you will be in possession of the realization that you all together form a unity. And you are connected to the One, and you are the light and nothing but the light. And so when you have this final realization, you are the light and nothing but the light, then it now becomes impossible for you to identify with the darkness. It is possible that you could make the philosophical choice to follow the path of darkness, but it is impossible to misidentify as the darkness because you have crossed the threshold of realization, and it is now part of your consciousness that you understand that you are the light and nothing but the light. So, if the greater proportions of humanity were in this non-dualistic state, understanding they are the unity, the light and nothing but the light, then those that wield the darkness and have power through the darkness and farm the human population to exude a bumper crop of darkness would become impotent because they could not confuse the self-realized human to identify with the darkness erroneously to produce this energy field for their harvest. Because humanity would be beyond that misunderstanding. And as a result, those that are unified around the negative end of the spiritual spectrum, the cabal of darkness, would essentially cease to have any impact on the greater proportionality of humanity ever again. And this is why it is very important to them, if they are to maintain their position on the human field at the top of the pyramid, where they are the apex group of humanity, cycle after cycle after cycle, then this information, this understanding that there is a returning cataclysm which has a spiritual significance, and this period must be used in preparation to be spiritually aligned with that event, such that there is a transition into the fourth density to exist as the unified being, fully realize you are the light and no longer capable of the erroneous misunderstanding of the darkness, they must prevent that at all costs. However, there is something going to occur which will end this reign of darkness, end this nefarious stealing of the sacred knowledge for cycle after cycle. Because the next cataclysm will be different to the cataclysms that have come before. Because this next iteration, the earth itself is also going to ascend. Because the earth has been in preparation. As each of these cycles have come and gone, the earth itself has been preparing for its own ascension. And the end of this cycle signifies the earth's ascension. And as you are aspects of the earth, because you are an aspect of the humanity being, and the humanity being is an aspect of the earth being. Humanity is the sentience of the earth. And so when the earth ascends, if it ascends as holistically as possible, then this means as much as humanity as possible will also make the ascension. And so the planet will be a higher energy planet. It will be a completely different paradigm. And all forms of life that do not make the transition into a higher bandwidth will not be able to tolerate the energetic conditions which will be the new normal in the ascended earth. The earth's atmosphere, biosphere, will be a much higher energetic environment. And so only beings which themselves have a very high vibration will be able to exist within that environment without being destroyed or having their physical substance disintegrated by the high energy state. So, those that have prepared the underground bases, the underground cities, in preparation for this next cycle will never be able to return to the surface. It is possible that they can remain under the earth in these underground cities, but eventually their resources which sustains them will become depleted, and they will be forced to either go to the surface or find new ways to nourish and sustain themselves. Yet they will be completely incompatible with the surface, because they will be third density beings on a fourth density planet. The only preparation which is meaningful in this cycle is that you prepare spiritually, that you get your energetics in alignment. You act as a being of greater virtue day after day, always heading towards the point where you could be considered, from your own reckoning, as virtuous as you could possibly be. And this is not some fake virtue which only has value if it is observed by others, but instead a very genuine and authentic and sincere virtue, where you absolutely are a very truthful being, where you absolutely are a being in possession of great integrity, great love, great caring, great dignity. And then you will be included in this ascension event. The cataclysm will be utilized in a very significant and spiritual way, as it is intended. This is the organic design. Your planet will necessarily ascend because it is working in cooperation with humanity. Humanity is not just subject, hanging on for the ride, but rather it is for humanity that the earth ascends, because it is only in the ascended state that humanity will be awakened to this understanding that it is part of the earth, that it is the sentience of the earth, and therefore its relationship with the earth will be transformed, because now the earth will be covered in individuated, free-willed aspects of itself that are fully awakened to the understanding that they are the earth, and therefore they will, humanity as a whole, clean and nourish and revigorate, recuperate the earth until the earth becomes a vibrant gem shining radiantly into the cosmos. The earth understands this, and that is why it is very invested, not only in its own ascension, but also in your ascension. What is very unique about the earth human is that the earth human, as we said, was born into creation as a species lacking these three fundamental understandings: that they are connected to the one and always have been, that they are a unity forming the spiritual group, the one being, the humanity being, and that they are the light and nothing but the light. And so this has been a process of realization until eventually humanity will be ready to make this cross into the fourth density state where they'll be fully realized of these essential understandings so that it can continue its transition through all of the density states until returning to the one. And because this very unique presentation, which has only occurred within your solar system, the human species has necessarily had to investigate the darkness. If it does not know if it is the darkness or the light, then it needs to experiment with both of these to make the discovery of what it is. And humanity now, as we approach the end of this cycle, is more and more realizing that it is the light. And this is why you're witnessing this awakening on your planet, where people are coming together, unifying against the cabal of darkness, and becoming more focused on spirituality, more focused on love, more focused on serving each other. This is very endemic of this part of the cycle. Even though the knowledge has been stolen, it is still within the collective consciousness of your species. And so your species understands in an unconscious but intuitive way that this time you're in now is important for some reason. And the compulsion is to be making more and more inroads into the light, becoming more a being of the light. And the darkness is also serving a holy purpose because it is pushing you in that direction as it becomes more bold and more blazing and more cruel and more evil. Its effect on humanity is to push humanity into the light so it awakens more and more and more and more. So even though it is nefarious and it is evil, it still is serving a blessed purpose because there are no mistakes. Everything is perfect. All of us are just individuations of the one, playing with the illusion so that it can fully understand itself experientially. And what is occurring within your solar system is very unique experience indeed. And because humanity is going through this process of discovery that it is the light, then there has been a period where humanity delved very deeply into the darkness. It was very low in its vibration, very dense in its physicality, and had very little or no spiritual awareness at all, did not exist in its extra dimensionality. And this very low vibrating species requires a planetary environment which is compatible with that type of being. A planet which itself vibrates low enough that it can accommodate this low vibratory species. But humanity has spanned a vast range of vibration until now it is approaching the threshold to make a quantum leap into a new energetic paradigm, into the fourth density state, which is very high in its vibration relative to where you are now, and extremely high relative to where humanity was when it was at its densest, at its darkest, at its most physicalized. And this range from those very dark times until the ascension is too broad for a single planet to accommodate. Usually planets are spiritually static. They are very long living beings, but it is not necessary for them to go through an ascension of their own. They have a life cycle, and the life cycle ends, and the energy of the planet is reincorporated back into the one and then repurposed again as the cosmos is continually reshaping and recreating itself. However, because of what's happening in your solar system, this very unique presentation where one species spans an incredibly broad range of vibration, this planet, which was compatible with this low density species, will not be compatible with this high vibratory species that you will become when you ascend and awaken as the humanity being. Therefore, to remain compatible and able to accommodate the species that you will all become, your planet must ascend also. And so it is together that you make this ascension as the single being, the unified being. You, the humanity being, the earth being, all the same being. And more so than that, the sun is going to contribute an energetic quality which will be catalytic for this unified ascension, because the earth being is part of the solar system being. It is all contained within the body of the solar system being. You, the humanity being, the earth being, it is all part of the solar system being. And so it could be said that a component of the solar system being will go through an ascension. And so to nourish and nurture that part of itself into the elevated state, it will literally contribute. It will nurture, farm, nursery this event. What is occurring here is of a much grander scale than the cabal of darkness. Those that have taken dominion over your planet, this unified malevolence, they consider themselves very grandiose. They consider themselves the titans of your reality, the kings and queens of your existence, the demigods of humanity. Yet, they are very small relative to the vastness of the being which is orchestrating what is occurring in your region of the cosmos. The solar system being is a very massive being relative to this small cabal of nefarious humans that have self-anointed at the pinnacle of your species. And when the energetic dynamics play out, they will be absolutely powerless to do anything about it. They will be immediately neutered, and their emptiness will be revealed when the influence they have is stripped away in a flash, and humanity becomes a non-dualistic species, fully awakened that it is the light. Let us finish this way. With this understanding in mind, rather than being daunted and afraid of those that wield the darkness and their agenda, instead utilize it, use it, because it is a service in offering. Although they act unconsciously, in the sense of understanding they are the infinite being, which is an individuation of the one just as you are. So your essence and their essence is the same energy. It is the same love, the same light. They exist in a state of unawareness. This is so while they are in their human form, those that comprise the cabal of darkness. But prior to being incarnated into this current life cycle, they were fully aware that they are beings of light. And it was through their desire for loving service that they made the choice to be incarnated into scenarios where it was very likely that they are going to follow the spiritual path of darkness. And as such, they would not be included in the ascension event because they would have incompatible energetics. However, their agenda from this infinite perspective was not one of selfishness for themselves, but rather of great love and giving and generosity. So they have chosen to play this role and thereby miss out on the opportunity for ascension just so that you can. This is their profound love for you. This is the sacrifice they have made for you to play this role in the theatre of your reality. While they exist now in their current incarnations with no consciousness that this is what they are actually doing, that they are literally creating an energetic force which is powerful enough that it thrusts humanity into the light so that humanity is prepared for the ascension and can be harvested into the fourth density state to begin the new human paradigm as non-dualistic unified beings, fully aware that they are connected to the one and comprised of the light. And they will have to wait much more time for their opportunity to ascend. They will be repurposed or reincarnated outside of the human paradigm on Earth because this paradigm will no longer be compatible with third density beings. And so their ascension will need to take place somewhere else. It can be somewhere else within the solar system in the next iteration of this experiment, which we perceive will be Uranus. Or they will be incarnated and repurposed so they can go through their ascension cycle somewhere outside of your solar system. Prepare now. Be a being of virtue and love in every moment. Shine onto your fellow brothers and sisters the quality of your Creator which you recognize resides within and invigorates your beingness. Share that far and wide. Let it be an energy field which covers your entire planet so that all other aspects of this greater being which you are, the individual humans, are all basked in your glow and begin their own resonance with this same frequency which resides within them too, drawing you together to form the unity in preparation for your emergence into the fourth density state as the completely new human species. Thank you, and we love you.